Okay, so I'm not sure based off how I feel if I'll be making a bunch of videos before then or if I'll slow down, but I'm going to be discussing more on Black Moon, Lilith, and Cancer that will be coming up. Um, and I don't want to talk about the transits or anything of that nature, but what I want to do say is the energies are going to be felt in the collective very much globally, worldwide. Um, and if you're very much more interested about that, you could just look it up. You could look up other YouTube videos. You could look up what other astrologers or other psychics or interpreters say about the whole transit and what's going to happen and how it will be affecting you, especially if you have the actual placement, such as myself. So, for those of you that know about the story of Adam and Eve, and then were brought into the story of Adam and Lilith. Lilith, the outcast and equal to Adam, was correspondent to the astrological alignment of the moon and Cancer. Astrologically, Cancer is her sign, okay? Hence, Black Moon Lilith. Cancer, that's literally her sign. So when she copulates with so-called the devil, as Abrahamic religions like to give her an evil identity, Satan, who is Capricorn, is her counterpart. Samael or Azrael or Azazel, if you would like to look at it. Okay, so these are all astrological. Mind you, Jesus was also a Capricorn, so he's basically corresponding to Satan too. Okay. Because everything is astrological, and the disciples and Jesus were they were astrologers. If you know anything about the Bible, they were very into astrology and the Kabbalah. So, basically, what we've read or what you know about Lilith is probably, I'd say, a good 100% misinformed information. I'm not saying there's no truths to it, but I'm sure it's misinformed. And she's been labeled for something that she's not, in a very sinister manner. You do know that the power of the feminine, female, was literally transferred from matriarchy to patriarchy about 6,000 to 5,000 years ago when Judaism was the main religion. Okay. Obviously, it started off with Zoroastrianism. As being the male-dominant new religion, first, if I'm not mistaken, or Mithraism, and so on and so forth, okay? If you really, really know about the hidden, secret, old so-called religions that are in the old Judaic religion, Lilith was Adam's wife. And Eve was their daughter. Okay? Eve was his daughter. So when it's been written that God recreated, another woman from his rib, I'm sure that was rewritten in a sense too. But there's some truths to it. There could have been rewritten at the timing or whatnot. But from the rib, meaning his sperm, Eve is literally his daughter. In the old Judaic religions, having sex with your daughter and selling your daughter for sexual prostitution was very normal. There's still sex, like that still exists, as well as with Islamic. And in this era, a lot of them still have that background, but they kind of just blame it on the occult and stuff. But the old religious ways were very much connected to the occult anyways. So Eve is his daughter and Lilith was his wife. So I'm sure the woman just thought it was nasty and she just can't deal with it anymore, and she moved on with her life because that's what we do, guys. What I'm basically trying to say is Lilith is known to be in astrology or society to be the dark, sinister, sexual vampire-like energy. Yes, but no at the same time, because I feel like her powers aren't sinister per se. They're not dark in a sense of vampire-like. The woman was just a powerful woman. Do you know what I mean? She was a powerful woman that didn't want to take bullshit, that it's not God's, it's not up to God, you know, because there is still like people who have, I don't want to blame it on religion or cult, but there are some people who have psychological issues who are so attracted to incest and genetic breeding and sexual encounters with their own kids or their own families that they believe, or they, you know, insinuate that this is a gift from God. Having sex with your child is a gift from God. So I'm making this video to give you a different perspective, that sexuality is not, the dark side of Lilith is not just sexuality in her being provocative and wanting to sleep around with everyone, because there were most likely no other beings at that time, according to the writers, except, you know, her jackals and her owls and so on and so forth. So, a powerful woman who demands her rights does not necessarily need to be overly, extremely sexual, abusing herself, because she knows that in order to attain true power and to keep that power to herself, celibacy, if not having sex not very often, even men know this, okay? That's how they attain their true power. That's how you preserve your energy and the energy that you connect with source. Sleeping around, having sex regularly, even with a partner, is you're literally taking on their crap, their trauma, their pain, their ancestral shit. Every person they've fucked, every trauma that every person they've fucked and their ancestors. You've entwined with their genetic trauma, and you bring that energy into you, and you literally become who you just slept with. So a woman who's truly powerful doesn't necessarily mean she's gonna have sex with everyone. A lot of this so-called sacred prostitution in New Age communities, or goddess power, sexuality, or sacred prostitution in the temples, which there's no 100% proof of that. I'm not saying none of that shit existed, but what I'm basically saying, just a minute, I got a call. Okay, so back to what I was saying. The story on how everything has to become sinister. So why not look, like, if you're somebody that's worked with the energy of Lilith, whether it's the Black Moon Lilith, your own Black Moon Lilith, or the story of Lilith, if you've tapped into the dark aspect of it, when I say dark, guys, it's just what society has created, this darkness, over-sexualized, over freedom, where you're like so out of control, induced in drugs, and this, that, abusing oneself. I don't think an entity or deity who's that powerful, who's equal to Adam, would want that self-abuse for herself. So it's time to look at it in a different light, a different perception, a different way of looking at things. Okay? So like I said, if you're someone to look at the story of Lilith in a sinister view, and even if you're an astrologer and you've tapped into that, let's flip it around and look at it, or embrace it as for what it is, and also how she incorporates with you. Because we all have different layers to us, different levels of us, different dimensions of us. I don't like to use the word light and dark. I always say light is just a projection. Humans are multifaceted. Back in those days, even a few hundred years ago, like honestly, ego didn't exist. The concept of ego didn't exist. The concept of light and dark in the way they perceive it now didn't exist. We're multi-layered beings. So I will drop this video and end it like this because I just don't think it's necessary to continue saying repeatedly what I want to say. But you get the message, you get what I'm trying to say. Try to take something that is deemed as dark and implement it in your daily life as something positive for you, as a solution oriented. It doesn't have to be just considered. In order for me to be equal to a man, I must be sexually active, internally out of control. I must fit in society of feminism. I'm not saying anything against these stuff in a sense of you do you, honey, but self-abuse is still self-abuse. And if you're ignoring your own heart and your true desire because you wanting to be powerful, power is within. You do not have to have sex all the time in order to attain power. So Lilith was equal to Adam, but she was a vampire. How does that work? Because if she's equal to Adam, she has that power within her. Maybe she manipulated his energies to take from him what she thought was for her, you know? But we all have different layers to us. Okay, let's end it here and just look at everything in a positive light to find solutions to our problems, to find solutions to our character, for self-development, for growth, for the next chapter of our life, to letting go of the old, to letting go of the old perception of something that happened in our life and looking at it in a different way, because the next stage, it's going to help us bump up to a different level, to a different state, to a different stage.